So in this lecture, we'll be dealing with CSS Grid. So CSS Grid is another important modern day layout system that allows you to lay out items both in the vertical direction and in the horizontal direction, unlike Flexbox. So Flexbox will be one dimensional. CSS Grid is two dimensional, allows you to control both rows and columns simultaneously. So this is great for designing entire page layouts, headers, sidebars, main content, footers with precise control over the placement. And of course, this supports responsive design. So regardless of the screen size, you can sort of auto fit these or automatically resize these to fit that particular screen size by using relative units, just like we did with CSS Flexbox. And items can also be overlapping, so we can place items in the same grid, right? So you have very creative designs that you can accomplish with this layout. Of course, it's not as popular as Flexbox. Flexbox is very easy to learn, very easy to implement. CSS Grid is certainly more complex and has a lot of nuances. And I'll touch here on the very basics and the essential knowledge that you need to get you started using CSS Grid. So what we have here in our web page is a containing element, and this containing element has 9 div elements, 8 div elements nested within it. So we have it nested here, and of course here the class is a bit suspect, but of course the class name can be repeated for multiple items. So let's get started here. So similar to CSS Flexbox, we just go display grid so instead of display flex. So display grid in the following way, and then we require that we need to specify the number of rows and the number of columns that exist. So to specify the number of columns in the first place, we have to give grid template columns, and then say we wanted to have 2 columns. So we have to specify the size first for columns. 100 pixels, for example. We're using absolute units here. So there we go, 100 pixels. If you wanted to make this bigger, with 200 pixels by 200 pixels here, 200 pixels. So that's the width. We'll take out 200 pixels and so forth and so on. We can also use relative units. So one cool relative unit here is the fractional unit. So 1FR. Let me just make 3 columns just to demonstrate this. 1FR. So the space will be evenly distributed or proportionally distributed equally. So if I made this 2 fractional units, now it will take up 2 times as much space proportionally to the other fractional units, to the other columns here. So let's just show this. There we go. So it takes up twice as much as the other columns proportionally, and I can go 3FR. And in the same way, we have the same idea being demonstrated here. Another relative unit that we can use is auto, and as you have guessed it, it will automatically assign space depending on the content that we have here and the amount of available space that is left. So the browser will automatically assign space with the auto value of this property, grid template columns. Incidentally, for grid template rows as well, we can also assign how big we want each row to be with template rows. Let's just say I wanted to make the second row much bigger. So let me just say I wanted to make it 3FR auto. Actually, let me make these just so you can see what happens to the second row here. So the second row will be this one. So let's refresh here. As you can see, the second row now takes up 3 fractional units proportionally to the first row and the third row.